Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Syrian government announces new ceasefire after deadly clashes in the Druze city of Sweda. Israel holds situational assessment at Syrian border. US says fighting would stop soon. UN Security Council will meet today. Mark Zuckerberg faces $8 billion trial over user data misuse allegations. Plaintiffs claim Meta illegally harvested data of Facebook users in violation of a 2012 agreement with US Federal Trade Commission. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz will meet British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in London today. Will sign a wide-ranging friendship treaty as part of a broader push to reset the EU-UK ties. And in cricket, Indian women's team wins first ODI against England at Southampton. All-rounder Deepti Sharma's unbeaten knock leads to 4-wicket victory. Syria announced that its army had begun to withdraw from violence-hit Sweda on Wednesday after a U.S. call for government forces to leave the majority Druze southern city. Israeli airstrikes in Damascus blew up part of Syria's air defense ministry and hit near the presidential palace. The attacks marked a significant Israeli escalation against the Islamist-led administration of interim President Ahmad al-Shara. The attacks came despite his warming ties with the United States and his administration's evolving security contacts with Israel. Describing Syria's new rulers as barely disguised jihadists, Israel has said that it won't let them move forces into southern Syria and vowed to shield the area's Druze community from attack, encouraged by calls from Israel's own Druze minority. Following calls in Israel to help Druze in Syria, scores of Israeli Druze broke through the border fence on Wednesday, linking up with Druze on the Syrian side. Scores of people have been killed this week in violence and around the predominantly Druze city of Sweda, pitting fighters from the Druze minority against government security forces and members of Bedouin tribes. The United States has called on Syria's government forces to leave a flashpoint southern area to ease tensions with Israel.
We are calling on the Syrian government to, in fact, withdraw their military in order to enable all sides to de-escalate and find a path forward. And I think that that's obviously the goal because of the nature of what's happened and the Secretary's phrasing that this was a misunderstanding. He's optimistic that this can be achieved.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benyamin Netanyahu said that Israeli military was working to save the Druze region and urged Israeli Druze citizens not to cross the border. While Israeli Army Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir visited the Syrian border to hold a situational assessment with the army officials, scores of people have been killed this week in violence in and around the predominantly Druze city of Sweda, pitting fighters from the Druze minority against government security forces and members of the Bedouin tribes. The United Nations Security Council will meet on Thursday to address the conflict. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned Israel's airstrikes on Syria on Wednesday and called for an immediate cessation of all violations of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. While Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, said that Israel will continue to act resolutely against any terrorist threat on its borders. On the Syria situation, Turkey has condemned Israel's strikes against other regional countries, including Lebanon, Iran and Syria. Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said that he was in close contact with Tom Barak, U.S. Special Envoy for Syria and the U.S. Ambassador to Turkey. It also said that Ankara was also in close contact with regional powers and the U.S. It has halted all trade and recalled its ambassador in Tel Aviv for consultations too. Fidan added that he expects a ceasefire in the area in coming hours as a result of diplomatic efforts. The restored Mosul International Airport in Iraq has officially been reopened on Wednesday. Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani inaugurated Mosul's newly restored airport years after it was destroyed in the battle to dislodge the Islamic State group. With this reopening, Mosul International Airport becomes Iraq's 7th air hub, following Baghdad, Basra, Najaf, Kirkuk, Suleimania and Erbil. Mosul Airport was originally built in the 1920s by the British as a military airfield. During the 2003 US attack, American forces used the facility as a military base. The Islamic State group ISIS seized Mosul in 2014 and declared caliphate. In August 2022, the then Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi laid the foundation stone of the airport's reconstruction. Mosul Airport is expected to become fully operational for domestic and international flights in 2 months. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz will travel to London on Thursday in his first visit there since taking office in May. The visit is intended to deepen the close ties between the two countries. During the visit, the German Chancellor and the UK Prime Minister are expected to sign a friendship treaty covering foreign and security cooperation. The upcoming treaty will also include measures aimed at boosting economic growth and encouraging stronger people-to-people contacts between the two nations. Last October, the UK and Germany agreed on a milestone defence pact, and they have since announced several joint initiatives such as developing strike missiles. Merz's trip will follow the state visit to Britain by French President Emmanuel Macron, the first by an EU head of state since the UK left the bloc. Earlier, Trump eased immigration crackdown, ordering around 2,000 National Guard troops to leave Los Angeles following a spate of protests last month. The order has drawn criticism from already angry California Governor Gavin Newsom, who has called the deployment a waste of money.
The President of the United States decided to advance his rote cruelty by utilizing the brave men and women of the National Guard as pawns in an effort to theatrically show his strength. He federalized the National Guard. He deployed roughly 5,000 military, not overseas. In fact, his entire first term, the President of the United States did not even send the military boots on the ground overseas. His entire first term. First 6 months of his administration, he decides to send them to the United States of America, 5,000 military. 4,000 federalized with the National Guard, close to 1,000 U.S. Marines. He sent them to a United States city. The utilization rate of our National Guard, less than 5%. You spent hundreds of millions of dollars, wasted hundreds of millions of dollars on this.
Even after the withdrawal of the 2,000 military personnel from Los Angeles, 2,000 National Guard troops would remain in the city, along with some 700 Marines. U.S. workers are building a new 11 kilometers taller secondary barrier to reinforce the steel mesh fence in the desert of southern New Mexico along the border with Mexico. Construction will witness new border wall of approximately 58 kilometers in Arizona and New Mexico. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection says these projects are expected to close critical gaps in the border wall and enhance border security operations. Constructing steel mesh fence has already led to reduction of migrants coming to the U.S., with Border Patrol arresting more than 39,000 migrants in the El Paso sector in the fiscal year to April, down by 78% from the year earlier period. Beverage giant CocaCola has agreed to use real cane sugar in its U.S. production. President Donald Trump announced on social media. The company currently uses high fructose corn syrup in its domestic beverages, a sweetener that has long drawn criticism from Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his Make America Healthy Again movement. The U.S. president did not explain what motivated his push for the change, which would not impact his well-known favorite beverage, Diet Coke. Since his return to the White House, Trump has reinstalled a special button in the Oval Office which summons a helping of the sugar-free carbonated drink. CocaCola did not immediately confirm the ingredient shift. U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday claimed that China may soon begin handing out the death penalty for fentanyl manufacturing and distribution. Speaking at a White House event, Trump said that he had imposed a 20% tariff on Chinese imports as a penalty for the country's role in supplying the drug. Trump made the comments as he signed the Halt Fentanyl Act into law, pledging to liberate America from what he called a deadly drug scourge. The event was attended by families who lost loved ones to fentanyl overdoses.
Position today, we strike a righteous blow to the drug dealers, narcotic traffickers, and criminal cartels that we've all been hearing so much about for so many years, and very little has been done. And we take a historic step toward justice for every family touched by the fentanyl scourge as we sign the Halt Fentanyl Act into law.
The bill will place all fentanyl-related substances, specifically copycat versions of the drug, on the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration's list of most dangerous drugs, classifying them as Schedule 1 under the Controlled Substances Act. The Trump administration argues the move will limit the incentive for cartels to create new synthetic fentanyl-like drugs to evade the reach of the Controlled Substances Act. The main stage for the Tomorrowland festival in Boom, Belgium, caught fire on Wednesday. A large number of emergency services at the scene said that local authorities advised residents to keep windows and doors closed. Electronic musicians Anema, Armin van Buren, Charlotte T. Witt and David Guetta were among the artists scheduled to perform on the main stage from Friday to Sunday. The cause of the fire was not yet clear, and organizers confirmed that no one was injured during the incident. Humanoid artist Aida Robot has created a portrait of King Charles, showcasing her latest artistic work. The artwork, called Algorithm King, follows Aida's other royal portrait, Algorithm Queen, depicting Charles' mother, the late Queen Elizabeth. This was created to mark her Platinum Jubilee in 2022. It was created using Aida Robot's advanced AI algorithms, a robotic arm using oil on canvas, and the camera in her eyes, according to the press release. Algorithm King was unveiled at the UK mission to the World Trade Organization and United Nations in Geneva during the 2025 AI for Good Summit. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, aiming to strengthen textile diplomacy, India's Textile Minister Giriraj Singh concludes his official visit to Japan. Stay with us for the highlights of the visit. DRDO develops Akash Prime air defense system to thwart multifarious air threats. Indian Army carries out successful trials at over 15,000 feet in Ladakh. Preparations begin for the historic 20th edition of the Delhi Half Marathon to be held on 12th of October.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's continue getting you more updates. India's Textiles Minister Giriraj Singh has wrapped up his official visit to Japan with a heartfelt interaction with the Indian community in Tokyo. The minister's outreach not only celebrated India's vibrant diaspora, but also underscored the country's growing textile diplomacy. Ending his high-level engagements on a warm note, the minister met with the members of the Indian community in Tokyo, calling them ambassadors of India. He urged them to remain rooted in Indian culture and values, even as they continue to contribute to Japan's progress.
भारत और जापान एक दूसरे से बड़े नज़दीक हैं, सभ्यता और संस्कृति से भी। सारे लोगों ने भारत में इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए इच्छुक हैं और कई कंपनी वहाँ ऑफिस खोल चुके हैं और कई कंपनी और जाने वाले हैं। हमारे लिए खास करके टेक्सटाइल के सेक्टर में टेक्सटाइल मशीनरी के सेक्टर में भी लोग आए थे। उन लोगों ने भी इच्छा जाहिर की है। कई लोगों ने जॉइंट वेंचर की बात की है। तो मुझे लगता है कि ये 3 दिनों की यात्रा हमारी बड़ी सुखद यात्रा रही है और लोगों का विश्वास भारत पे बना है नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में।
Addressing the gathering, he said that the example of India-Japan cooperation in automobile sector should be followed in textiles as well.
There are many areas in which India-Japan business connect is very strong. Automobile sector. There is more Suzukis today in India than in Japan, if you count the number of vehicles. Okay, and very happy to know that now Suzuki is importing cars from India to Japan. So this is something which we want to replicate in the textile sector. And I am convinced that under his leadership, under the guidance of our Honorable Prime Minister, we would be able to achieve that target.
India hosted the 4th BIMSTEC disaster management exercise virtually. The event witnessed participation of disaster management professionals from BIMSTEC member states to assess and enhance regional preparedness for cyclones and floods and shared best practices to strengthen coordination for disaster response across the region. India has always stood by its partners in the region as the first responder in times of crisis. The exercise further strengthened cooperation in the Bay of Bengal region towards disaster preparedness, response and resilience. The Election Commission of India has said that over 69,900,000 enumeration forms have been collected in eastern Indian state of Bihar so far under the Special Intensive Revision Initiative, which is 88.65% of the total enumeration forms. The Indian poll body said only 6.85% of electors now remain to submit their filled enumeration forms, and many of them have sought time to submit their enumeration forms with documentation in the coming days. The Election Commission said 1.59% electors have been found deceased, 2.2% permanently shifted, and 4.53% electors were not found at their addresses. The Commission said it is ensuring that no eligible elector is left out and the remaining electors fill their enumeration forms before July 25th. In a significant development, the Indian Army on Wednesday carried out successful trials of the indigenously developed Akash Prime air defense system at an altitude of over 15,000 feet in the Ladakh sector. The trial was carried out by the Army Air Defense along with senior officials of the Defense Research and Development Organization, which has developed the system. During the trials, the surface-to-air missiles registered 2 direct hits against the very fast-moving target aircraft in the very high altitude area in a rarefied atmosphere. The Akash Prime system would form the 3rd and 4th regiments of the Akash air defense systems in the Indian Army. In comparison to the existing Akash system, Akash Prime is equipped with an indigenous active radio frequency seeker for improved accuracy. Other improvements also ensure more reliable performance under low temperature environments at higher altitudes. A modified ground system of the existing Akash weapon system has also been used. In a significant move to strengthen security arrangements for the ongoing Amarnath Yatra, The Kulgam police of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir have implemented advanced surveillance technologies along the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway. The Kulgam police have adopted high-tech technology, deploying state-of-the-art geofencing surveillance and facial recognition systems on the Srinagar-Jammu National Highway to further strengthen security for the Amarnath Yatra. Geofencing has been implemented across the highway stretch, falling within Kulgam's jurisdiction to track the movement of both pilgrims and vehicles in real time. Facial recognition systems have also been deployed to identify potential threats and enhance overall security during the yatra. As the monsoon extends its influence over India, pouring heavy rain over states such as Uttarakhand, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, the Indian Met Department has sounded a 7-day warning for rain, thunderstorms and lightning over various areas. While intense showers are being witnessed in some regions, others such as parts of Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar are witnessing irregular and comparatively lighter rains. The IMD predicted heavy rainfall over Odisha, sub-Himalayan West Bengal, Sikkim till July 21st. Moderate rainfall is also predicted at most places, accompanied with thunderstorm and lightning likely over the region during the next 7 days. Heavy rainfall is likely over Konkan and Goa, Ghat areas of Maharashtra on 20th and 21st of July. Also, moderate rainfall at some places is very likely over the region during the next 5 days. Heavy rainfall is predicted over Assam, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Tripura during 19th to 21st of July. In other news, President Draupadi Murmu will confer the prestigious Swatch Sarvekshan 2024-25 awards at a national ceremony in New Delhi today. Swatch Sarvekshan 2024-25 marks the 9th edition of the world's largest urban cleanliness survey. This landmark event will unveil the cleanest cities of urban India, recognizing the tireless efforts of cities during the Swatch Bharat mission Urban Forward. The introduction of the SSL serves a dual purpose. It inspires top-performing cities to reach even higher standards of cleanliness, while also motivating other cities to improve their performance and compete for the top rankings. The awards spotlight the theme of reduce, reuse and recycle. An $8 billion class section investors lawsuit against Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and the company leaders, current and former, begins on Wednesday. Jeffrey Zients, White House chief of the staff under President Joe Biden and a Meta Platforms director for 2 years starting in May 2018, testified that the Federal Trade Commission initially sought tens of billions of dollars but was willing to accept $5 billion, and the company felt it was important to reach a deal that did not name Zuckerberg as a defendant. The trial began on Wednesday and is scheduled to last until July 25th. The case was brought following revelations that data from millions of Facebook users was accessed by Cambridge Analytica, a now defunct political consulting firm that worked for Donald Trump's successful U.S. presidential campaign in 2016. On to sports, the Indian women's cricket team beat England by 4 wickets in the first ODI in Southampton on Wednesday. Deepti Sharma's unbeaten half-century, anchored by Jemima Rodriguez and Amanjot Kaur, helped India chase down 259 with 10 balls to spare. With this, the Indian women's team registered their second highest successful chase in the ODIs. It was also the third highest chase on English soil by any team. The Indian team has taken a 1-0 lead in the series, in fact in the 3-match series, and both teams will clash again in the second ODI on Saturday. The Delhi Half Marathon on Wednesday launched registrations for its historic 20th edition, scheduled to be held on 12th of October. The milestone year is expected to draw thousands of runners, elite athletes and fitness enthusiasts from across the country and beyond. The registrations for the physical and virtual races will commence on July 17th and will remain open until September 19th. Italian luxury brand Dolce & Gabbana showcased high fashion in Rome this week, hosting 2 runway shows against the backdrop of the city's iconic historical landmarks. Models wore dazzling frocks adorned with prints, embroidery and other embellishments. Dolce & Gabbana held its Alta Sartoria menswear show at Castel Sant'Angelo, with models wearing designs inspired by ecclesiastical dresses, walking down a catwalk set up on the Ponte Sant'Angelo bridge. With that, we end this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at In Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.